Day 27 Word of God Exodus chapter 20 verse 24. An altar of earth you shall make for me, and you shall sacrifice on it your burnt offerings and your peace offerings, your sheep and your oxen. In every place where I record my name I will come to you, and I will bless you. Exodus chapter 20 verse 24 signifies a pivotal moment in Israelite history, where God establishes the protocol for building altars and offering sacrifices. This verse follows the giving of the Ten Commandments and sets the stage for the Israelites' worship practices. God instructs them to make altars of earth as places of worship and sacrifice. These altars were not ornate structures but rather simple, symbolic representations of the connection between humanity and divinity. By using earth, a fundamental element, God emphasizes the accessibility and humility required in approaching Him. Altars in ancient cultures served as focal points for religious rituals and ceremonies. In the context of Exodus chapter 20 verse 24, altars symbolize the meeting place between God and His people. They were where offerings, including burnt offerings and peace offerings, were presented as acts of devotion, thanksgiving, and atonement. The act of sacrifice on these altars signified surrender and acknowledgement of God's sovereignty and provision. The mention of burnt offerings and peace offerings in Exodus chapter 20 verse 24 carries deep spiritual significance. Burnt offerings were entirely consumed by fire, symbolizing complete dedication and consecration to God. Peace offerings, on the other hand, represented communion and reconciliation with God and among His people. Together, these offerings formed a vital part of Israel's worship, emphasizing the themes of submission, gratitude, and unity. Furthermore, Exodus chapter 20 verse 24 underscores the importance of God's presence in the midst of worship. The promise that, "Wherever I record my name, I will come to you," reveals God's desire for a close relationship with His people. This divine presence was not limited to a specific location but was assured wherever genuine worship and reverence for God were found. It speaks to the intimate connection believers experience in their worship practices, knowing that God is near and attentive to their offerings. In summary, Exodus chapter 20 verse 24 encapsulates the foundational principles of worship and sacrifice in the Old Testament. It highlights the symbolic nature of altars, the significance of offerings as expressions of faith and devotion, and the assurance of God's presence among His people. This verse lays the groundwork for Israel's spiritual practices and sets a precedent for believers today, emphasizing the centrality of worship, surrender, and communion with God. God bless you and give you grace after grace.